I'm Albert from Summer Associate Hub, and I'm pleased to be joined by Angela Vorpahl from Law School Master Plan, talking to us about 1L summer jobs, a very hot topic, especially around the winter time. So, Angela, introduce yourself. Tell us more about you.
Yeah, my name is Angela Vorpahl. I'm a 1L strategy coach, so I help incoming 1Ls get the grades to start their career on their own terms.
Amazing. All right, so let's jump right in. What is the first thing that 1L should have in mind when applying to 1L summer jobs?
Yeah, so I think there are three important things to keep in mind when you're starting the 1L summer job hunt. And the first one is that the most important goal of the 1L summer job is to get substantive legal experience. It really doesn't matter
Yeah.
what it is. Law firms and legal organizations do not care what type of law you practice, even where you go to intern or work. What they care about is that you have something substantively legal that you did that you can then talk about primarily in your 2L summer job interviews. Number two to keep in mind is that 1L summer jobs are limited. So
Yep.
law firms, legal organizations, government agencies, they have a very specific number of 1Ls that they're looking for, mostly because the 1L summer job is not designed to lead to a full-time job
Yeah.
offer. So these spots are more limited and there's going to be, of course, fewer of them. So what we do with that information is that we want to apply as early as possible so that we give ourselves a chance to actually compete for these positions because a lot of them are
Yep.
interviewed and offered on a rolling basis. The third thing to keep in mind is that the 1L summer job hunt, it can be and absolutely is
Yeah.
a total time suck and energy suck. And so talking about front loading the work starting as early as possible,
Yep.
as early as end of December, beginning of January, just so that you can get all of these applications and go through the interview process, lock down a job so that you can then refocus your energy and effort on your 1L second semester grades, which is going to be such a powerful metric for you heading into 2L summer job interviews so that this process doesn't just keep dragging out and dragging out and dragging out for months.
Yeah. Winter break is a great opportunity to do that once you've physically, mentally recovered from final exams. All right. So 1L summer jobs come in different shapes and sizes. What are some options for 1L summer jobs?
Yeah, so there are generally five categories of the most common types of 1L summer jobs and internships. And the first one is law firms. The second one is judicial internships. Then we have government agencies, then public interest organizations, and then professor research assistant positions. And so those are the five most common. There are, of course, other ones out there, but that's what you're going to see most job postings and career services emails talking about.
All right. So I'm a 1L looking for a summer job in all those different categories that you mentioned. How do I know which option is best for me?
Yeah, great question. So, as we talked about, the most important goal of a wonderful summer job or internship is to get substantive legal experience that you can then talk about in your 2L summer job interviews.
Yep.
And so, we talked about the different opportunities that are available for most 1Ls. And so, talking about number one, the law firm option, this is going to be for you if you are looking for law firm experience, specifically because you think you might want to work in a law firm down the road. And the other great advantage of working in a law firm, especially a bigger law firm, is that they're going to be paying you, which for most 1L summer jobs, a payment system does not exist. And so that is also a really, really great thing to have if you have the opportunity and you're competitive for those positions. The second one to keep in mind is going to be the judicial internships. This is a really popular option, both at the federal level and the state level. And this is going to be for people who are interested, potentially leaning litigation, thinking you might want to be a litigator, or specifically work as a judicial clerk down the road, meaning working in the chambers of a judge, helping them research and draft legal opinions and bench memos. Is going to give you great research experience, great writing experience. It's also going to give you a relationship with a judge that you can then parlay into a potential judicial clerkship or interview down the road. The third one to keep in mind, government agencies and public interest organizations, 3 and 4. These are great options for those of us, which are so many of us I know, went to law school to actually help people. That was the main motivation for so many of us.
Yep.
And in a lot of cases, this is the only or the main opportunity for us to actually do the type of work that we were thinking that we wanted to do when we started this process to begin with. And so with public interest organizations, with government agencies, communities. We can work in things like asylum applications, housing, criminal law, a lot of these things that help underrepresented communities. And depending on your law school, they also might have stipends available for this type of work to encourage and promote students going into public interest organizations or going into government agencies. And this also really helps too if you think you might want to do that upon graduation, or you're not sure and you want to try it out, or you think you want to go into private practice, and then this is something you can leverage to lateral down the road in your career. The last one is the professor research assistant position. So this is where you are going to be the research assistant helping a professor research, usually an academic article or some type of survey or project that they're working on. So this is particularly helpful if you are interested in academia, or you just want to develop a stronger relationship with a professor, because that can help you develop a source of recommendation letters down the line if you want to apply for judicial clerkships, or just get to know other members of the legal community and help with that networking aspect. So any one of these can be a really strong option for you. Remember, keeping in mind that we're after substantive legal experience, and in any of these situations, you can leverage the lawyers that are going to be around you to talk with them, network with them, get to know their story, because you never know how those relationships are going to play in your life in the future, whether that's 6 months in the future or 10 years in the future. And so these are going to be incredibly valuable for that reason as well.
No matter what you choose, that's great. So actually looking for a job, where can a student go to actually find the summer job listings?
Yeah. So number one, you always want to start with your law school's job board, because those are actual employers in the community who have reached out to your law school and said, we are interested in hiring 1Ls from your law school. So this is the lowest hanging fruit. This is absolutely where you want to start. These are people actively looking for you. The next thing is, usually law schools will have some sort of 1L summer job event through their career services office, but it's always a good idea to follow up with your career services representative, because they are a wealth of information. They usually have been working in these roles for years. They know the different law firms and legal organizations and public interest groups and government agencies that have relationships with the law school. And just keep in mind, if you're in a city where there are a lot of different law schools, we are looking for those employers who historically have hired 1Ls from your law school. And they're going to know who these people are, especially with the alumni connections of alumni from this law school who may now work in those places. So career services is always, always, always a great place to go as well. The next thing to keep in mind are diversity pipeline programs. So there are some at the federal level, but there also maybe some in your region or your city that exist. Really great opportunity, especially for 1Ls, is where they tend to have even stronger diversity pipeline programs in place. The next thing to keep in mind that a lot of people don't think about is your city's bar association websites. A lot of those have become more and more developed over time, where they're actually offering judicial internship programs, public interest organization programs, volunteer opportunities. So check out that website, see what those opportunities are too, so that you can make sure you take advantage of things outside of your law school in the community as well. And then I don't want to forget to mention the old school job search tactics. I know this is one that makes most of us really uncomfortable, and we don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, but it actually works. Year after year after year, I hear students who have gotten jobs through cold reach outs. Now, there are more strategic ways to go about doing those cold reach outs, specifically targeting alumni of your law school, working in the city where you're going to law school, specifically with smaller law firms, smaller organizations who don't have the funds or resources to be able to send people, for example, to recruit at your law school or create job postings at local law schools. And absolutely, the energy is one of service. You want to let them know that you are looking to give some amazing junior associate help, and would they be interested in receiving that service. So absolutely, any one of these are a great, great place to start. And honestly, all of them, if you kind of want to do a little bit of a deep dive, you can see what opportunities are out there and then start strategically targeting the ones that you're most interested in and kind of go down the list from there.
I love your last point, because my recommendation to candidates is always, what can you provide to your prospective employer instead of what that employer would do for your career? And I think framing it in that way is fantastic. All right, so last question. What do you wish you would have known heading into your 1L summer when you were a law student?
Oh my gosh. So a few things come to mind. So one is this sort of lack of preference of 2L summer job employers. Again, substantive legal experience is what we want to
Yep.
be able to articulate. They do not care what it is that you did, which is a really freeing reality. So if
Yeah.
you worked in criminal law, it's completely fine that you then do an interview for corporate mergers and acquisitions because they know that the 1L summer job market is way more niche, way more limited. It doesn't have to reflect the type of law that you're interested in practicing full time upon graduation. So keep that in the back of your mind.
Yep.
They are very open to any and all types of legal experiences that you have 1L summer. The other thing to keep in mind that I absolutely did not do, but that you hear that you should do, and you absolutely should do, is network with the people that you are interning with. And you don't have to use that word because I know it creates a lot of resistance, but it's having conversations with the lawyers who are around you. And so that can be literally asking them if you can buy them a coffee, which they will never accept, so it's completely fine. But just to be able to ask them about their career path, how they got here, what their type of work is like, and what they think about junior lawyers coming up through the ranks. Just even those three simple questions will be able to create a very organic
Yeah.
conversation. And then every interaction after that is a follow-up interaction. That first
Yeah.
interaction is always the toughest. But again, as we talked about before, these people could figure into your life in 3 months, 6 months, 10 years. And so they're going to remember you just like you remember people from high school. Like any conversation you have, they will remember you, and it's going to be really, really wonderful for you in the future. The
Right.
last thing is has nothing to do with your what else summer job specifically, but it can have an impact in the future. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got, which I did not even know was possible, is you could take a 1L summer course, a 3-hour course that basically takes away one of the requirements you're going to have to take 2L or 3L year. And what
Yeah.
that does, it's usually at night, so you can, if you have the time and you have the energy, you can fit it in after your internship. It takes those 3 hours off the table, which can then open
Great
up
idea.
time in your second semester of 2L year to get an externship, get an internship, get a part-time job, which can give you another bite at the apple to see what type of law you want to practice,
Yeah.
or get your foot in the door in an organization or in a federal judicial chambers, for example, that you may not otherwise have, or that
Great
people who are
idea.
taking a full course load can't have. So if that resonates with you at all, ask your registrar's office what opportunities are available and see if that might be something you want to take on.
Fantastic. This is I wish I had this video when I was a 1L. Thank you so much for all the amazing insights, Angela. This is really great.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me. This was an awesome conversation.